All right, Kelly O'Donnell at the White House. Kelly, thank you for that. Let's bring in now David French. He's a writer at the National Review. And David, I know you have you're a conservative voice, though, who has been saying Republicans and conservatives need to be taking this issue of Russian interference in the election very seriously. I'm just wondering what you make of the events today. We have this report in the New York Times saying, hey, there were people at the White House, 2 people in the administration who played some role, according to the Times, in getting this information to Nunes. We know Nunes took the information to the president. We know Democrats in the committee say he should have shared it with us. We have the White House offering this letter now saying, hey, there's some information that was gleaned in the ordinary course of work by the National Security Council. We want you to come view it. What do you make of all these pieces that are suddenly floating around out there?
Well, you know, here's the problem. A lot of the origin of this confusion lies with the Trump tweets, where Trump has said, well, he was wiretapped, it's as bad as Watergate, it's a huge scandal, and then began to seek external validation for this tweet, for this argument. He didn't come forward with evidence. And so here's the fundamental problem. There's 2 fundamental problems with what Nunes did. Fundamental problem number 1, it's now looking increasingly like the White House fed him information that he turned around and fed back to the White House in a manner that led everyone to believe he had independently discovered it. And it was information that didn't confirm Trump's tweet, but he was able to use to say he felt validated. That's a problem. That's not his role as chairman of the committee. Here's the second problem. He's not sharing that information with his own committee. And instead, he's talking in these vague terms like he doesn't disclose sources and methods, like he's a member of a spy agency himself, like he had some sort of clandestine meeting that nobody needs to know about. But again, let's remember, he's the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee. He is not an employee. He is not a lawyer for the president. It's not his job to make the president's tweets look better. And so when you take all of these reports together, it creates an impression of a chairman of a House committee essentially working to backfill the President of the United States tweeting. And that is not his role, and it's created an enormous amount of confusion, and it's caused further loss of confidence in the work of the committee.
And we know, by all appearances, the work of that House committee right now seems stalled. There was talk there from Adam Schiff, the ranking Democrat, that proposed witness lists are being passed back and forth right now. There have been some proceedings for this week that were put off. Going forward, based on everything you just said right there, can you see a scenario where Nunes recovers his credibility with the Democrats on the committee, recovers enough sort of standing to proceed with this investigation and have the results, whatever they may be, accepted by both sides?
Well, I mean, you know, there's a lot of second acts in American politics, and I can't imagine a course correction, one where he says, here is the information that I viewed, I'm going to make it available to my committee, which is all clear to view secret information, top secret information. So he does what he's supposed to do. He apologizes for going outside the normal course of business, and then he rolls forward. I haven't seen any indication that that's happening. Instead, you know, the news is changing every 5 minutes, but my last understanding is he's still not even sharing with his own committee what he found, what he saw, and how can you be a committee chair of an intelligence committee when you're not sharing with your own committee the intelligence that you're viewing? And that's a core problem, and I do think that there is a way for him to move through this and to move out of this. I just don't see that that's happening.
All right, David French with the National Review. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate the time.
Thanks so much for having me.